Hi and welcome back to another skills video, and in this one we're going to be looking at the skill of demonstrations. So you as the instructor giving a demonstration to your pupil. So we're going to explore that topic in some detail. So let's crack straight into it. So I'm going to be using my little the worksheet. You'll be getting this worksheet, so I'm going to work through this. So these just act as prompts to me to talk about, and prompts to you for you to think, things for you to think about when developing this skill. So let's first of all look at the EDP teaching model, which you're probably aware of, but if you're not, here we go. It stands for explain, explanations, demonstrate, and practice. So it's a nice simple teaching model that as a teacher, as a trainer, you can go through with pupils when introducing new subjects. So there'd be a little bit of an explanation or a briefing at the beginning. There may be the need, and I say may be the need, to do a demonstration, and we'll explore when a demonstration is necessary to actually do that demonstration. And then, of course, allowing your pupil time to practice to develop that skill. So we're going to focus on the middle bit of the EDP and focus on that demonstration part. So like I say, do we always need to do it? No, not really. Is there value in doing it? Yes, definitely. And there'll be some situations that it really works, and it's another tool in your toolbox when teaching your learners that you can think, do you know what? There's an idea here. If you're struggling with a certain situation, you might think, do you know what? A demonstration just might be the perfect solution to this problem. So that kind of puts it into context. So what are the benefits of doing a demonstration? So very good for your learner because they can see it, they can feel it. So when you're talking from a visual aids, it's very 2D, and you can draw pictures and try and bring it to life, but is there any better thing than actually getting out in the car and experiencing it and doing it and feeling it? Because how the car feels when it goes through a bend, for example, how the speed feels when you say slow into a roundabout, for example, how slow does that actually feel? So to demonstrate something can really illustrate and bring what you're trying to say and give it real meaning. So that's a big benefit. You want to make your briefings engaging and interactive. So that's a big benefit. If you can make them engaging and interactive, learning will take place. And also, while you're doing it, it allows your pupil to watch. Sometimes your pupil might be overwhelmed by a situation or lacking confidence in a situation, and just to offer a demonstration might be like music to their ears, where they can sort of sit back and watch you do it, and that sort of gives them a little break and de-stresses the situation. They can watch and start to understand. And of course, if you're making it engaging and interactive, you're going to involve them in it. You're going to ask them questions and check their understanding while they watch. So that's a really good benefit of doing it. It might suit visual learners. So if you look at different learning styles and the VAC, the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So if you've got a particular visual learner, this just might be up their street. But if you've got a kinesthetic learner that likes to get their hands on it and do it for themselves, they probably won't like a demonstration. So don't force demonstrations, offer them, ask for them. There are some benefits. There's only a few occasions where I've insisted on, say, look, please just let me show you this, because I think this will really unlock your understanding. And I might impose it sometimes, but rarely, because we do want to be client-centered. So you really want to be asking and thinking about, does it suit the learner's style, their learning style? Okay. So suits visual learners or those that lack confidence or understanding in a particular situation. So if they're feeling particularly apprehensive, like let's say joining a dual carriageway via a slip road, and they're a bit worried about that, thinking, well, what if there isn't a gap? And I'm a little bit worried. You might say, well, actually, if I show you that, and how we can do that. And then hopefully that'll sort of make it not as scary as you think it might be. And then you can see that. And then once they've seen you do it and demonstrate it, they'll think, oh, actually, yeah, that wasn't too bad. I will have a go at that. So that might be something when you use a demonstration. And something else you can do is switching roles. So you can, while you've got the pupil in the instructor seat and you've demonstrated and talked your way through a particular thing, to engage them, you can start now to get them to tell you what to do. So you're checking their understanding, they're involved, they're engaged, it is interactive, learning's taking place, and like I say, it takes a little bit of pressure off them. So I've got an example of that, which I just want to show you. I did a video a little while ago, well, don't know, maybe two years ago. I was with a PDI, but the PDI just wanted to, we were going to have a look at demonstrations. So I demonstrated a demonstration, if that makes sense. Hopefully the video will make more sense when you see it. So I'm just going to, I'll just show you that now. Let me get that. So the sound's going to be coming through this. So hopefully the audio is fine. I will put the link of this video in the notes so you can watch this sort of, with better quality, because we might lose a bit of quality doing this. I will put it on large so you can see that, and I will now be quiet so you can hear it. So let's give that a go. I'm not going to signal because there's a junction to the side. So I lift off. I've lifted off. Can you feel the speed is reduced?
Yes, really.
Now I check mirrors again. Now I'm showing my brake lights. I'm positioning. Okay, so that gives you an idea. Hopefully the sound quality was all right, that you can pick that up. But like I say, I'll put a link to that video in the description so you can watch that in full quality. It's quite a long video. It's an hour and 38 minutes. So that was a session I was doing, but I just wanted to pick that part out. Is how you can switch roles. And I did a talk through for the pupil. I started to ask them questions. I started to involve them in the decision making, because that's the thing they were struggling with, the decision to go into the roundabout. So I started to involve them in that, and they were making the decision whether to go. Then I got them to make the decision about what gear I should take. And then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to hand it all to them. So I empowered my pupil to become the instructor, to tell me. And I know this was a PDI, but I've done this with real learners. I just wish I had a video of me doing it with a real learner, and it really can be effective. And they do have that moment of like, yeah, I'm the instructor, I'm telling you what to do. And so when you swap, they've got that understanding, and then you will obviously help them and support them. But it's the amount of time that took to go around that block twice. You could argue, do I need an explanation? Do I need a traditional briefing? Could we just not? Like, do you want me just to show you a couple? And in that, I can go through the routine, I can show them, involve them, make it interactive. And hopefully, if they're a little bit stressed about roundabouts, and are they going to be busy roundabouts? Well, they've just seen the roundabouts that we're going to do. So hopefully they'll be feeling a lot more relaxed and a lot more confident about the whole situation, so they can go in. So that really is a big plus as to why a demonstration could unlock a pupil and might be better than a traditional briefing with a visual aid. Bring it to life, animate it. Demonstrations, a really good skill. I think it's a skill that's underutilized from driving instructors. I fear that it might just die out over time, but it's a real tool that you can use, and it's really effective, I believe. So anyway, so back to my notes. Okay, so we've done switching roles, and the pupil becomes the instructor. I want to talk about providing an instructional commentary with a faultless drive. So when I was doing that, I'm going to drive it well, obviously, because if they're seeing mistakes, that could confuse them. So we want a nice, clean drive. And I'm providing an instructional commentary that's relevant to what they need to learn. So it's got to be relevant. I don't want to overwhelm them with too much information. So my instructional commentary there was on the system, MSPSL, helping them go through. And there was a junction before one of those roundabouts. So I was having to adapt MSPSL with mirrors and speeds and then a signal, and so it was out of sync because of that junction. So that's another reason why it might be quite good to actually do a demonstration rather than a briefing, or a little bit of both. Okay, as I've already said, keep it simple and keep it focused on the goals. Your role is not to show off and say, look how brilliant I am. I'm just the master, and you'll never be as good as me. That is not the aim of it. You want to do the drive and keep it simple, keep it focused on goals, and really simplify it. I can't emphasize that enough. Keep it nice and simple based on what they're trying to learn. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it nice and focused on the goals that you're trying to do. And that might mean you drive it a little bit slower. Let's say if you were doing a demonstration of T-junctions, don't drive it at your normal speed, because you drive in joined up writing, whereas when you learn, you sort of drive in block capitals and it's a bit more stagey. So, you might deliberately do things a lot earlier, and really separate things and make it like, really, this is my mirrors, this is when I signal, and really sort of like focus on the things you're trying to achieve. You can also use demonstrations to demonstrate faults. That seems like an odd thing to do, but let's say, I don't know, a pupil's curious about coasting, and you're thinking, well, you're trying to explain it and they're just not getting it. To say, do you know what, I can show you the effects of coasting. Let's say you've got a bit of a downhill, a bit of a bend, and you could sort of safely demonstrate the effects of coasting, so they get that feeling of what the car feels like. So that might be an effective way to do a demonstration. So you're doing it safely because you're driving and you can keep the car in control, but they get the experience, the feeling of what coasting feel like. And then once they felt that, do it again and do it properly without the coasting, in the correct gear. Let's say a lower gear if you're going down the car, and say, like, can you feel the difference of how the car feels now? And they'll be like, yeah, do you know what, the car did feel out of control, and they understand why, because you've explained that. And that just might be an example of that you can demonstrate bad things in driving, but do it in a safe way. Moving on. So the types of things you can demonstrate that kind of work that I've used in the past. In the early stages of driving, clutch control. So let's say I've picked my learner up, picked them up from outside their house. They've never driven before, so I'm going to take them to a suitable training area that's quiet, away from their house, so mum and dad aren't watching. And I've got this 5-minute drive to get to this area because they live in the middle of the city. So I'm just going to take them out into a residential, wherever I'm going to go. And on the way, to make good use of that time, I might demonstrate the clutch. So I might sort of explain to them, ask them a couple of questions. Do you know about the clutch? Do you know what it does? And if they don't, I could explain about the plates. And we've done a lesson on visual aids, so I'm not going to go too much into that. If you want to sort of know more about that, watch the visual aids skill. So I'll be explaining how the clutch feels, but now I'm going to drive them to the location. So now this is the perfect opportunity for me to demonstrate that skill. So then I can, while I'm in the driving seat, in the hot seat, they can see that they can feel the bite point. I say to them, like, I'm going to bring the clutch up slowly, and I want you to tell me when you hear and feel the note of the engine change. You'll just feel it, and they do. I might even say, look, just shut your eyes and just feel it. And they go, yeah, I can sense the car's vibrating. So you can do that kind of stuff to get their sensory skills. It's hearing, it's sight, it's feelings. So we can use all that to demonstrate clutch on the way. I could demonstrate steering on the way and say, look at my hands. I'm going to steer left, so my left hand comes to the top. I'm pulling down and pushing up, pull, push. So that might be useful, because we talked in the visual aids video about having a frisbee, but if I've just driven there, I could demonstrate steering, pull, push as a technique. If I'm changing gears, I could show them palming. But remember, I don't want to overwhelm them and show them everything about driving on this little drive, because I would just think, right, what's the most important thing they're going to want to learn when they get there? That's if they can master this one skill that's going to really help this lesson. I would suggest clutch, because if we don't get the clutch right, they're going to be stalling, kangarooing. And if they get a better, deeper understanding through demonstration, then you've kind of done a lot of your groundwork just on the drive to it. So you'll save time later explaining. And so when they get in the driving seat, they understand that. And you could say, look, pop it in first gear, and now you find me the bite. And they do it. Great. Keep your feet still. Lovely. Great. And it's nice and quick. It's efficient. Good use of time. Demonstration is very good on an early lesson when you take them to those suitable locations. Okay. Other ones you might use is like rolling first gear. This is like coming up to a T-junction when there's quite a lot of skills involved, and it's quite complicated. This is where things overlap, because as they're slowing, they're declutching, they're steering if they're going left, they're looking, they're rolling it into first. How do you do all that before the junction? So this is where a demonstration might just really help them and unlock that, and you can show them and do it nice and slow and simple and say what you're doing. So like, I'm going to come up to the junction, I've checked my mirrors, I've put my signal on, now I'm gently on the brakes, look at my feet, my left foot is covering the clutch, and now I put the clutch down now, and now look at my hands, my left hand steering round, and I'm leaning forwards and I'm looking and I'm rolling into first. You could do all that, you could do it, slow it all down and show them a couple, and then think, now I get it. Now I see how you can get all that in before the T-junction. Once they're a bit more advanced, corners and bends is a good one to train, because, you know, are they going to get all their braking done and the gear change before the bend, or are they going to overlap into the bend, still braking and finishing off gears, sloppy, one-handed, steering into a bend? Not very good. We want good, crisp, clean system. A demonstration could really help them see it, and more importantly feel the car, how the car feels stable through the corners. Very good. And the speed, you might say, you need to go a little bit slower, or you could go a little bit faster. Well, what does that mean? A demonstration could really unlock that based on limit points and that understanding. So when you're getting more advanced, corners and bends and limit points is a good demonstration skill. System of car control related to corners and bends using IPSCA or MSPSL, depending who you're teaching. You might get advanced drivers that will know more about IPSCA rather than MSPSL. Approaching and exiting roundabouts, as I kind of just did in the demonstration. Coasting, as I've said, you might want to demonstrate coasting, how it feels. You might want to demonstrate a manoeuvre. People's not very confident with parallel park, they've had a few goes, they're struggling, they're getting a bit frustrated. You can say, look, if I just show you one, how would you feel about that? And like I say, as you're doing that, you could turn them into the instructor as you're doing it. So, well, when would I steer? Like, should I steer now? How much should I steer? Where should I be looking now? Oh yeah, you could get them involved. Get you to say to you, come on, Howard, look out the back. So really good, like, to do for a manoeuvre. An emergency stop, this is something I've done in the past where I've had a few goes with a pupil trying to get them to do emergency stop, and their braking is just so soft, it's so like normal, and I'm just really trying to explain, no, you want to really brake firmly, progressively, as if a child had just run out, to preserve human life. It's going to be like dramatic, you know, and then they have another go and just do a nice soft little stop, and I'm like, okay. So do you mind, can I just show you something here? Can we just have a swap, and let me show you what an emergency stop feels like. Make sure they haven't got a bad back, pregnant, all that kind of stuff, and demonstrate. And then they go, right, all like that. Yes, like that. So that's how I want you to do it. And then once I've done that demonstration, they then jump in the car, they have a go, and they've got it. The pennies drop. They think, right, when you say an emergency stop, you mean like really hard braking. I'm like, yeah. They get it. So when explanations don't work, demonstrations can be good. You might use it for sustained gear changing or rev matching, a more advanced technique when you've tried to explain it, they can get it, and what the benefits are. I'm not going to get into that now, but you might want to use it for your more advanced drivers, so you can just sort of do the little blip of the revs to snap the clutch up to get a nice super smooth gear change before coming into a bend or a roundabout, just to make nice smooth downshifts. But like I say, that's an advanced technique. You might want to use that if you've got an advanced driver. And controlling rear wheel skids, or skids like on a skid pan. So if you went to a skid pan, often the trainer will say, look, this is what you want to do, this is how you control it, and I'm going to show you one, and then then the learner has a go, the student has a go. So so these are just some examples of what you might do. Don't do the rear wheel skid thing off-road, on the road. Make sure you're off-road to do that. So that's sort of more specialist training. But there's just some ideas of things, examples of when you might use a demonstration in conjunction with an explanation or instead of an explanation. Depends what kind of learners you got and how you can unlock them. So try, have an experiment. Don't use the whole lesson where you drive. That's not what I'm suggesting. A demonstration is short to the point until they get it, then hand the back control to them. That's what we want to do. So that really concludes the end of this skills video. Thanks for watching, and there'll be a worksheet as normal, so fill that out. And yeah, good luck with it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.